Welcome to today's Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to share this one with you today. We're going to dive into a story that explores something we all think about from time to time. It's our deep universal obsession with time, aging, and of course, second chances. It's a beautifully crafted narrative known as The Secret of the Indian Herb. Seriously, ask yourself, what if a simple cup of tea could literally erase 50 years off your life? It's kind of the ultimate temptation, right? Imagine reclaiming a half-century of lost youth, literally overnight, having the energy, the complete lack of pain, the sheer vitality you had decades ago. Would you drink it? Well, this story forces us to look right at that temptation and ask ourselves what we'd really be willing to trade for it. Section 1. The Catalyst, the Century Reign. Okay, let's set the stage here. Meet Glen Garrison. He's a 70-year-old retired botanist living a super quiet, isolated life deep in the woods of western Washington, right near Hood Canal. And what grounds this narrative so well is that Glen isn't some magician or thrill seeker. He's a man of science. He's a botanist who just spends his days messing around, experimenting with everyday herbal tea combinations. We're grounded in the damp, isolated, and very real environment of the Pacific Northwest. But then, out of nowhere, reality just shifts. A storm sweeps through the area, and it's described as completely unnatural. The story says the storm clouds had a strange, iridescent violet hue, and the downpour smelled faintly of ozone and crushed pine needles. This brilliantly captures that sudden shift from the mundane right into magic. The ground wasn't just wet. The story notes it seemed to literally hum with energy. You can almost smell the ozone just hearing about it. So, drawn outside by the aftermath of this bizarre storm, Glen goes wandering near the quiet shores of Hood Canal. And tucked under a massive, glittering, ancient quartz boulder, which happens to be an old, forgotten Salish burial ground, he finds this unknown, wild plant. The leaves are a deep velvet blue, and the star-shaped white flowers glow with a faint, luminous dew left behind by that strange rain. Operating on pure botanical curiosity, he harvests a handful of the flowers and brews a tea. And the taste? Wild honey and ancient earth. Section 2. The False Victory, the 12-Hour Miracle. Right, so after finishing this cup, a really deep sleep just washes over him. And when he wakes up, the change is absolute. No way around it. At age 70, Glen was frail, dealing with a chronic ache in his lower back, and looking at a face heavily lined with age. But staring back in that same mirror now is his face from 50 years ago. Bright eyes, a sharp jawline, thick dark hair, and just boundless energy. It's a total, miraculous transformation back to a pain-free 20-year-old. But hey, as any good scientist knows, every reaction has parameters, right? Glen quickly figures out the strict, mechanical rules of his newfound youth. Hour 1, he brews the tea. Hour 2, it knocks him into a deep rest. Hours 3 to 14, he reverts entirely to age 20. But at hour 15, the clock strikes. His joints pop, the lines return, and he's right back to age 70. The magic operates on a tight, unforgiving 12-hour clock. Section 3. The Disconnect. A Stranger in Town. So ecstatic and just bursting with youthful energy, Glen drives into this small town near the canal and struts right into the local diner. There, he runs into Mary Browning. Now, they've been friends for 40 years. They used to sit on his porch and talk about local history for hours on end. But Mary? She looks right through his 20-year-old eyes without a single flicker of recognition. She even calls him young man. It is a heartbreaking interaction. Glen realizes that this youthful exterior has completely alienated him from his lifelong connections. To the people he loves most, he's suddenly a total stranger. To cover his tracks, he kind of softens his voice and tells Mary he's actually a friend of Glen's. And Mary says something that just hits incredibly hard. She says, "It's a shame. Youth is wasted on the young. If Glen had his youth back, he'd know exactly how to appreciate it." Wow. Glen is secretly sitting right beside her, hiding inside this 20-year-old body, listening to his oldest friend lament about his own frailty. He spends the rest of the day skipping stones and enjoying a heart that doesn't stutter, sure, but the emotional disconnect is massive and undeniable. Section 4. The Revelation, the Squin Spirit Rain. Okay, so after living this crazy double life for a week, his supply starts running dangerously low. Desperate to hold on to the magic, Glen rushes back to the old quartz boulder near the canal. But he returns only to find the velvet blue plants withered and yellowing under the autumn sun. His supply is gone. There isn't even enough left for a single cup. And standing there, guarding the dead flora, and watching him with calm eyes, is an ancient Native American man wrapped in a heavy wool jacket. So this elder starts explaining the true lore of what Glen actually stumbled upon, that a natural storm, it was the squin, a spirit rain that comes only once every 100 years to wake these mysterious plants. This establishes a absolutely crucial, sobering reality. This magic is ancient, it's cyclical, and it is fundamentally out of a desperate botanist's control. They are definitely not going to bloom again in his lifetime. When Glen, naturally, pleads for more time, the elder drops the true weight of the situation on him. He says, "The plant does not give you time, my friend. It only borrows it from the end of your string. You cannot cheat the weave." Actually, just let that sink in for a second. The tea wasn't a fountain of youth at all. It was a cosmic loan with a truly devastating interest rate. He wasn't gaining extra time in the world, he was cannibalizing the very end of his life. Which brings us to our final section, the moral irony, the final cost. So the elder just disappears into the old-growth forest, and Glen walks away, heading back to his quiet life, forever changed. Sitting on his porch that evening, watching the sunset over Hood Canal, a crushing realization washes over him. He spent his precious, fleeting week of borrowed youth hiding in a stranger's skin. In his desperate rush for second youth, he squandered the absolute last healthy days of his actual life. And perhaps most painfully, he realized that the world, and Mary, truly missed the 70-year-old man. They loved him for exactly who he was, not this 20-year-old illusion. By frantically chasing what he had lost, he threw away the authentic, precious time he actually had left. And this whole story leaves us with a lingering, deeply provocative thought that I really want you to take away from this explainer today. If you could borrow a week of youth from the very end of your string, knowing you'd be a complete stranger to the people you love, would you do it? It's a question that makes us weigh the value of pure vitality against the value of our lived history. Thank you so much for diving into this with me today. I really hope it gives you a newfound appreciation for the string you have right now and the people who recognize you for exactly who you are.